Hey, get your block game on. Get your block game on. Collection agencies are now able to send you unlimited text, emails, and direct messages on your social media pages. And we're going to break it down in this segment of Credit Makes Sense. Hey, welcome to Credit Makes Sense with Netiva, the Frugal CrediTnista, where we talk about money, credit, and everything in between. Super excited to be here with you guys today as we make sense of why debt collectors are now able to send unlimited emails, texts, and DMs on our social media pages. For those of you who do not know me, hello. I'm again Netiva, the Frugal CrediTnista. I am a financial educator, certified credit counselor, realtor, and personal finance coach. I own a financial education services firm where we help our clients to repair, restore, rebuild, and transform their credit scores. I also own a bomb.com DIY online academy called Credit on Fire, where we teach our students how to master their money, destroy their debts, soar their credit scores so they can leverage it to create wealth. So I'm super excited again to be here with you guys. If you like what I'm laying down, join the Prosperity Partners and like, follow, or subscribe. So let's get to it, guys. Yes, collection agencies are now able to contact you not just once or twice, but unlimited. So they can just keep boom. And so that's why I said we probably need to get our block game on. But I'm going to let you guys know what we can do about it and why this is happening. So if you guys are not familiar with the law that governs or gives debt collectors guidelines to follow, it's called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It was created in 1977, before I was even born, and its main purpose is to prohibit debt collectors from using harassing, abusive, or unfair practices. Now, I'll stop right there and let you guys know there is not one Consumer Civil Rights Act in America that was created proactively. So you guys know debt collectors were cutting up in order for the federal government to say, let's go ahead and create some guidelines so that consumers are protected for some of the things that these debt collectors are doing out here. So that's why it was created. And it set some communication guidelines that basically states they can't call you before 8 o'clock in the morning or after 9 p.m. at night, which I think is way too late anyway. And they can legally contact you by email, fax, mobile phone, or regular mail. Some of the issues with the act as it stands now is that it is outdated. Now, I will be completely 100% honest with you guys. This is one of the most easy to read acts that we have, Consumer Rights Acts, as far as it pertains to the credit and financial industry, so in my opinion. But the other acts were written some decades before 1977, so you can just imagine what I'm talking about. But the act was written in 1977. So electronic communication did not exist back then, and social media wasn't really I don't think it was a thing at all back then. I mean, it's before I was born, I don't know, but I doubt it. Don't talk about me. All right, so basically updates were needed so that not only you and I as consumers, but also debt collectors could know and be clear on how they can communicate with us. And they wanted it to include all current, relevant, up-to-date stuff that we use now, electronic forms of communication. So that's why it was updated, and I am in total agreement with that, because I can't tell you how many complaints were filed when debt collectors were emailing them. I've done several live Q&As with some of my students when they're getting texts and all of that good stuff. So this just provided clarity on paper, and it updated the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So let's talk about the updates to phone calls, because this was actually something that I actually thought was a good thing. So they can still only call you after 8 o'clock in the morning and before 9 o'clock at night. So they can't call you before 8 or after 9 o'clock, your time zone. They can only call you 7 times a week. So that's literally like once a day. Most of them don't call on Sundays anyway, but 7 times a week, and 7 times a week pertains to each debt that you have with them. So if they own 5 debts with you, They can assign a rep to call you 7 times per debt that you have. So, okay, yeah, that's what it is. Don't blame me. That's what it is. So if you have 3 debts, 7 contacts, or 7 times a week, that's 21 calls that they can make for you, 7 per each debt. Now, if they call you more than 7 times per debt that they have, then you have the grounds to sue them. So that means that you need to keep track of what is going on when they're calling you, or just get your block game on. It's whatever. I know some of you, because you contacted me, you are litigious people. Some of my partners are very litigious. So if you want to go ahead and keep tracking and go ahead and file a suit, then do you. It's $1,000 per incident. So plus punitive damages, FYI. Now, if you pick up the phone and they make contact with you, you guys converse, they cannot call you again for another 7 days. So they can't call you and then you guys, converse, and then they say, oh, well, I'm gonna keep calling you again for the rest of my 7 days. No, they have to have a break of 7 days and then they can contact you again. So remember I said it was some pluses and some minuses. I definitely think that's a plus. I do not need to hear from you every day if I told you the same thing. How many of you guys have had debt collection calls and you're like, listen, I don't have it. They call you again. Like, did something change from like 5 minutes ago, yesterday? Like, it's going to be the same answer tomorrow. So this was definitely a plus. Now, if you tell them to stop calling from you, they cannot call you anymore. It used to be that our right to stop calls were only enforced in writing. So we would have to send a written cease and desist letter. Now we can hey, do not call me anymore. And that will halt or should halt all communication. So one of the things that you can do is record the conversation. So if you're going to tell them to stop calling you or you don't want to accept any more phone calls and just limit it to mail or what have you, record the conversation, meaning an app on your phone that records it. And then if they happen to still contact you after you've had that recorded conversation with you, that is a time for my litigious partners to do what you do, okay? So that's the updates to phone calls. Now let's get into voicemails. There was a term here, I know I've heard it before, but this was kind of really outlined in the new updates. By the way, the updates, I haven't even gotten through all of them. It is 600 and I think 53 pages. I just made it to 200. So you guys are getting the communication updates. As I read the rest, I'll update you guys on some more. But basically, if a collection agency leaves a limited contact message by voicemail, that is not counted as a communication. Now, a limited contact message, it used to be that they can just say, hi. If you've had collection, you already know. They say, hi, this message is for Netiva. I wanted to contact you regarding a personal business matter. So it used to be they couldn't state the name of their company if any other third party was listening could tell that they were a debt collector, right? Now, they cannot contain your name in the voicemail. They cannot mention that it's past due. They cannot mention their name if it states, XYZ collection agency. No, they can't do that. So it has to say, hi, we're calling about a personal business matter, and this number was listed as a point of contact. Please give us a call back at da-da-da-da-da-da. So that's how the voicemails have to be now, as a limited content message, in order for it not to be counted as one of those 7 communications that they're allowed. So FYI on that. Now let's get to the meat of it. Texts, emails, DMs. Now mind you, they still have to keep within that 8 to 9 p.m. Okay, but they can contact you. They don't have a barred amount of numbers. It's unlimited. Text messages, emails, direct messages on your social media. So if they do choose to text, email, or DM you, they have to have a method for you to opt out. So it's not, I don't know if you guys have ever gotten some of those irritating spam text messages, but there's nothing that says type stop to do this or press 1 to opt out or something like that. And it's just like you typing back, please stop texting me. Then eventually you have to block them. That cannot happen. They have to have a clear method, a link or something that you can see, so it can't be obscured by anything else for you to be able to opt out. Next, if they do text, email, or DM you, then you can send your request to cease communication using that method the same way. So if they text you, they have a way for you to opt out. Before you opt out, you would type, please do not use this method of conversation to contact me any longer. Thank you, opt out. And so if they do it again, not only did they not not only did they go against the opt-out, but they also went against your request to cease communication for that method. And my litigious partners, you can do what you do, okay? So that's one thing. Another thing, this is for the original creditor. So let's break this down some more. If you have Capital One is about to sell your debt to, I don't know, Portfolio, right? So they're about to sell it to a Portfolio. Before they can give Portfolio your email address, they have to do a couple of things. And it used to be, this was a big thing some years back, but people are like, how are you getting my text, my cell phone number? How are you getting my email address? This isn't something that I personally shared with you. I only shared it with the company I have a contract with. And it was automatically thought, well, if they bought the contract, they bought all of your information and the same rights the original creditor had, so does the debt collector. So the CFPB updated this and was saying, well, before the debt collector can even email you, they must, meaning the original creditor, so in this case, Capital One, send you a 35-day notice. Hey, we're about to sell your debt, or we have sold your debt. You have 35 days to opt out. If you do not opt out within that 35 days, then they have the right to send your email to that collection agency. They cannot send any company email addresses to the collection agencies. Collection agencies can only use public domain email addresses. Yahoo, AOL, Hotmail, Gmail, I can't think of any more, but you get my drift. They can't use at thefrugalcreditnista.com, at creditonfire.com. They can't use any of those. And so that means that the original creditor has to find a way to scrub emails from any consumer that doesn't have a public domain. So be mindful of that when you're applying for stuff. I mean, I don't know if you want personal information going to your company, like your public corporate company address, but if you have like a side hustle or something and you want to buy your domain name and do business with that, rock out with it. That's a great way actually to protect yourself. So when will this be finalized? Well, first off, let's talk about the updates. They're going to do another vote in December, like December 2020, and this is going to talk about the debts that are past a consumer statute of limitations. Now, I have a class in Credit on Fire that breaks down the statute of limitations like big time, right? But essentially, your statute of limitation is based on your state, okay? And it states how long a creditor or collection agency, a debt, how long you can be sued for a debt in layman's term. It just states how long you can be sued for a debt. So I know when I was living in Illinois, you know, credit cards, they can sue up to 5 years. If I had a vehicle that I was repoed on, they can sue up to 10 years. There was a judgment, I believe it was 20 years that they had to collect. So it just kind of sets the limitations on how long you can be hounded to pay this debt, okay? So now they have to discuss, well, what happens if a consumer's debt is past the statute of limitations? Because I'll tell you what happened now. It's still in your credit report. You still can get harassed about it. Sometimes they'll try to lie and say, oh, you know, you owe this because they want the money, instead of just telling you, oh, this is past your statute of limitations. So you really don't, you know, we can't sue you if you don't decide to pay this. They don't tell you that. And yeah, you can still, some companies try to sue you for it as well. So then you have to bring up the fact, hey, this is past my statute of limitations, judge. I shouldn't even be here. When in actuality, the debt collector shouldn't even wasted your time and brought you there. So that's one of the things they're going to talk about. Then they're going to talk about parking the debt. I actually did a blog on this a little while ago, some years ago, you guys, and I pulled it up. It's on my 2 websites old ago. But parking the debt is essentially where a debt collector will, you know, who does this medical collection. So let me use a real example. So you go and you have a medical collection. Let's say they put it on your credit report in 2014. They haven't updated anything since they slapped it on there. And so it's getting older and older and older. You're doing more positive things now with your credit. Your scores are starting to soar. And then you say, I am ready to buy a home or a car or something else. And so they see the inquiries of the mortgage loan on there. And so they're like, Netiva is up here trying to buy a house and she still owes us. So now it's time to resurrect this debt that's still within her statute of limitations. And yeah, get our money. Okay, so that's one terminology. Some use the terminology of parking the debt as re-aging the debt, which is already against the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And so that is basically where this debt is past the reporting limitations, which is 7 years. And so they just renew it like it's new. Another term that people, or another definition that people use for parking the debt is if, we'll use the same example, portfolio bought a Capital One account in 2016. No, they're updating it monthly and then they decide to just close it. You're like, oh, they just close it all by itself. It's not even past the statute of limitations. They still had quite a few years to report. And then it pops up as a brand new collection on your credit report, and it's really the same debt, but they slapped a new one on there just to make it appear more newer with that open date. So yeah, it's a couple little shady things going on around there. So they want to talk about that more. And they're going to talk about notices to us consumers about validating the debt. This is up in there. I'm actually going to do another video after they update this in December, because I am so curious to see what they are going to say, because right now they are saying that they can collect on a debt and they don't even have to verify if it's ours or not. And so that's one of the things that consumer advocates are fighting. And they're also fighting them being able to report it to our credit reports without notifying us first, or at least verifying that it's really legitimately our debt. So looking forward to December 2020. And then language access provisions. Actually, I work with a lot of Hispanics, so that's the only minority I could think so for language access provisions, because actually, you know what, I got notes on this. I actually got it right here, so I'll actually pull it up. So let me see. Debt collectors are now required to request and record the language preference of each consumer that they collect on. And they have to inform the consumer if they offer any service in a language other than English. So this is going to be epic for those of you who speak English as a second language. And if you prefer communication in your native tongue and they have that service available, then they have to extend that to you. And they also have to overall make arrangements. So this was voted on a little bit earlier in the year, let's say June, July-ish. And they're still fine-tuning things, because their collectors like, listen, how many languages are spoken in the U.S.? Are you crazy? And I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. But now they have to do some work around that, because, English is not, it's the unofficial spoken language of America, but it's not official. There are several minorities who live here, so they have to at least make some kind of provisions for those who they are collecting a debt on and who do not speak or even read. You think about that, some people speak English pretty okay, but as far as reading and comprehending it, that's totally different. So they have to do that. They have to make arrangements for that. Alrighty, this is all going to be voted on in December 2020. The part that I told you before about the phone calls and the texts and DMs, that's done. That was finalized in October. The other changes that I mentioned previously, that's going to be decided on in December 2020. And then all changes go into effect as of right now, December 2021. So you're able to make some arrangements and all that good stuff. You have a year to do that. So December 2021, you can make all of those arrangements. Like for me, like I said, get your block game on, get your recorder on your app, on your cell phones, like prepare for these things. And most importantly, prepare to get rid of these collections. Okay, prepare to get rid of the collections in the first place. We can definitely help. You can just visit the frugalcreditnista.com. We cover it all, from one-on-one assistance to a full-fledged bomb.com course inside of our Credit on Fire community. And we have a do-it-yourself course as well, a standalone course as well. It's going to be absolutely bomb.com. So all of this is available to you. Simply visit the frugalcreditnista.com for assistance. If you have any questions, you can definitely submit them or comment below. And I try to answer all questions ASAP. And if you have a question for me for my next Credit Makes Sense video, I'll leave you the link in the comments, I guess below. Leave you the link below so that you can submit a form and I can answer your question in one of our next upcoming videos. All right, partners, thanks so much for hanging out for me. Hopefully we made sense of some things today. This was something else. Like I said, I'm glad the updates happened, but some of them, I don't know. And some consumer advocates, especially those in minority neighborhoods, are already like, listen, this did not go far enough. We're glad we're part of the way there, but we have even more to go. We have a long way to go even still. So, all right, I will chat with you guys later. If you haven't liked, subscribed, followed, or shared please do so. And I'll see you in the next segment of Credit Makes Sense. Chat later.